moms out there, it's Lindsay back, and I'm so excited to continue with our channel, Hope and Grace Ministries. So the first video I talked a little bit about just postpartum motherhood. I shared a little poem about being an irritable, tired mom and a grateful, less tired mom. And today I want to share a little bit more of my postpartum journey in both my pregnancies and why I felt inspired to make this channel and really just be a voice and place of community for women that are struggling in postpartum or are going through all the things while you're pregnant and just motherhood in general. So with my first daughter, Layla Grace, she is now almost 2. She'll be 2 in July. I dealt with some postpartum depression, and I had already been struggling with depression and anxiety before I had her, just due to trauma and things experienced as a child and young adult, and I go to counseling for that. And I had just started some medicine before I had her because as I was approaching labor, the depression was getting worse. And so in my postpartum, I was experiencing stronger depression and anxiety, having some thoughts, just having these very intrusive, crazy thoughts of something bad happening. Like when we left the hospital, I had such bad anxiety. I did not want to leave the parking lot because I was convinced, like, I was scared to death we were going to get in a wreck. And I didn't want to feel that way, I just did. And then we would go to postpartum appointments, and like if my husband set the what's it called? I have postpartum brain right now is what I call it. The car seat behind the door, like on the floor in the doctor's office, I just started crying because I thought that they were going to open the door and hit the baby and she was going to get hurt. And the doctor came in that day and I explained what was going on. They're like, okay, this is what's going on. It's postpartum depression. We're identifying it. Now, let's deal with it. So it felt good for them to name it and identify it, so I didn't feel as crazy, like I was the only one and no one knew what was going on, because it makes you feel crazy. Because the thoughts are so intrusive and the way you feel might be, your hormones are going all over the place. During pregnancy, after pregnancy, and I don't know all the specific hormones that drop and go up and everywhere when you have the baby, but I could feel that, I'm just telling you. And this pregnancy, so we have a 2-month-old. This pregnancy, it got a whole lot worse after I had her. I thought I was doing great. Like a week or 2 out, I was like, yeah, I posted on Facebook, I'm doing so good. And about 4 to 5 weeks out, I started to notice some behavior changes in myself where I wasn't wanting to get off of the couch, or I was putting on Netflix shows and series that were kind of just like stuff I usually wouldn't watch. Like I was kind of just finding a show, and it might have been like I don't know, like some documentary on someone dying, and like that's definitely not something I need to be watching during this time, but I normally wouldn't watch that anyway. And I just lay on the couch watching TV. My computer did a thumbs up. And let's see, what were some of the other identifying factors? I was having those intrusive thoughts again, just of like dark stuff when I would lay my head down at night to sleep, like just thinking of something really bad happening. Or when we'd be in the car, I would like picture the car running off the road, and I'd just be like, I'd see the whole thing and be like, how did I get there? It's like, why would I think of that? And I started having heat flashes, started to feel what I didn't know was alone. I felt lonely, even in a crowded room. I felt lonely at church, I felt lonely out in public, I felt lonely with my kids and my husband right next to me. And that's nobody else's fault, that's just a part of the postpartum depression. And a lot of people don't talk about it because they feel guilty. Well, a lot of like outside factors can obviously play into this as well. Like I've tried to teach myself about it and become more aware so I can understand what I'm going through just by educating myself and asking questions. And I have read a lot that obviously, like, and I've been told by my counselor and OBGYN, you need to be aware of this. If you've already struggled with depression and anxiety, you would be more high risk of having postpartum depression. Or if you've had a lot of trauma, you could be, I've read, more at risk. Doesn't mean automatically, but those are both the case for me. So I felt like very high candidate. Although I don't try to prepare for the worst, I try to prepare to take care of myself. I hoped that it wouldn't happen this pregnancy, but it did. So I'm doing the things I can to create the support system that I need. And so outside factors can, like any extra stress if you're dealing with postpartum depression, anxiety, it's like your hormones are already up here. You just can't handle it. At least I can't. So I had to create a safe environment for myself and protect my mental health so I can be the best mom and wife I can be, and make videos and get up and put makeup on and fix my hair. And I might have went and put eye makeup on just for the sake of this video, but I did actually put makeup on today, and that's become a part of my self-care routine that I enjoy doing. I used to just kind of whip it on fast and pride myself in that, but now it's a part of my me time. I take my time and I do it and I have fun. It's kind of like art to me. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel pretty, and makes me feel like I'm ready for the day. Even if I'm just at home. It doesn't have to be for anybody else. I don't have to go anywhere today, but I feel good when I look good. And I look good. Okay, so my husband's sitting on the couch. But this time, like I said, the postpartum depression got very bad, so I was feeling really down. And one night, I honestly did not see this coming. We were in the living room. In fact, my husband was dancing, my little girl was dancing, we were joking in the living room. We laid down to go to bed. My husband probably had The Office on because he's an Office fanatic. And I just laid my head down and I could not go to sleep. I wasn't recognizing how anxious I was. I just kept thinking, what's wrong with me? And going through my head, I was going through things I've learned in counseling, just how to counter a thought, and I was trying to think on good things, but my mind just kept, the anxiety was so high. And when you're laying down and you feel like you want to crawl out of your skin, you're like, where do I go? I can't run from me. And my body was getting really hot, and I remember I woke my husband up. It was 5 a.m, and I looked at him and I just told him that I felt like dying, but that I didn't want to, but I felt like I wanted to die. And it's just everything felt like it just, like a huge wave of, I don't know, just anxiety. But my body, I got so hot, I was fanning my face, I was crying. I got up, I turned the bath water on, I just kept crying and crying. I called my doctor, all the things, make sure I had accountability and everyone knew what was going on. But that was really scary. Even telling it, I feel like I'm sugarcoating it in a sense. I don't know how to tell the story, and obviously you relate and understand what that really felt like, but to feel like you want to die, that's scary. I've struggled with depression before. I've never been suicidal, and so that was the first time I ever got to that place where it felt like I was trying to escape myself, but I couldn't. And I was definitely dealing and have been dealing with extreme postpartum depression. So I started reaching out to friends and things, called a doctor and all of that, and we thought that it was some symptoms from a medicine that I was started for a few days to help with the postpartum, and I stopped taking it. But I'm so far out from that medicine that we realized, no, you're just dealing with some very extreme symptoms. And talking to some other women, I realized it wasn't they knew exactly what I was talking about. No, that is postpartum depression. Are you talking to your doctor? So that was nice to hear from somebody else, because when you don't know, it's just like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I not, I don't know, am I not grateful that I just had a baby? Like, why am I not okay? And I have so many things right now that I always prayed for. Why am I feeling like this? And it was very draining. I remember I felt exhausted after that experience, and thankfully my husband was home for a few days and I was able to sleep. I felt like I could just sleep for days and days and days. But that's also another part of postpartum you have to be careful about. You don't want to be sleeping all the time, like a depressed state of sleep. Obviously, when we're new moms, if you're breastfeeding or upfeeding and you have a toddler, if you have a toddler and all the other things, you're going to be tired. But this was like another level of tired. And so after I was able to sleep, I had a few other bouts of anxiety like that, where it just hit me, and it seemed to be at night. And a lot of times if it got that bad when there was an outside stressor that came in, because I'm not able to handle any extra stress right now that I normally would be able to. And so I am learning to manage it as my hormones balance back out, but also looking to new things that I can do to help myself, whether it's medicine, whether it's natural remedies, self-care, humor. Let me just tell y'all. So here's some things I wanted to share in this video, some of the fun things that I have been doing in postpartum to obviously help my quality of life. Like, I don't want to just sit in a pit, and I am still very happy, and every day has been different, but it's still there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like myself. That's what you hear a lot of people say. Don't feel like myself. So I have some essential oils. I have the Young Living Joy essential oil. Thankful for my friends who suggested that. And I do makeup routine. I'll take a bath if I need to. I will just take time to rest and sit and play with my newborn and enjoy my kids, not feel like I have to be going, doing. I like for my space to be clean, even though a lot of times it's a mess, so I'll try to pick up our space daily. And I like something good smelling, so I can diffuse the joy oil or light a candle. Worship music. I've been playing worship music even more than I normally would. I wake up and I often listen to the Sadie Robertson podcast, or someone like Louis Giglio, or just a message from somebody. Joyce Meyer Talk It Out podcast. Something that is uplifting, full of truth, community. It makes you feel like you are a part of something. It just is a great way to start the day. And sometimes I'll listen to that while I'm cooking breakfast or getting things ready, but I'm still listening. I talked last video about sitting still in worship and renewing my mind with the word, which I want to grow in my consistency with doing that. So there's just some things that you can do. But laughter, joy is often the best medicine, and joy is from Christ. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So if we need strength, and God tells us He's our strength, and we get that in joy. I've been listening to Tim Hawkins and John Crist. They are two Christian comedians that are hilarious. In fact, my husband and I are going to see Tim Hawkins live in Ridgeland coming up, and I'm so excited about it because he's just absolutely hilarious. And you wouldn't realize, like, sometimes if you're in postpartum depression or depression in general, but postpartum, and it's just crazy and you feel out of control, you never felt like this before, and you don't know what to do, don't just sit in it and wallow in it. Reach out to friends, turn something funny on. I sat on the porch and cried one day, and my husband was right there with me. He had his arms around me, and I was bawling my eyes out. It was one of those bouts of anxiety where this first started happening, and I was having to identify it, and it was scaring me. Because it would just come, and I would just start crying, and I told my husband, I feel so alone. I don't think I was able to identify that in times past, even with normal depression. Like, what am I feeling? Alone. Okay, if I feel alone, then I should reach out. And I'm all too guilty of isolating when I have been depressed. So I'm staying on top of that, and I've done a much better job recently of just staying connected and staying connected with the right people. Friends that are in the Word with me and encouraging me and listening and hearing and just there. And that's amazing to have, because even though I felt like that in that moment, it's not true at all. And so just to say all that, I might have repeated myself a lot. I do that sometimes. It just really changed me. It changed me feeling how I felt when I woke up that night, and it made me sad. It woke me up, because I'm like, Lord, there are people that feel like this all over the place, and goodness forbid if someone actually felt that way and did something that they could not change, like take their life or harm themselves or harm the baby. Sometimes this can get to where you have negative feelings towards the baby, or sometimes moms have a baby and they're just not able to connect emotionally with the baby, and they don't want to tell anybody, because what if somebody judges them and thinks they're a terrible person because it's not, someone might just have a bad attitude towards their child, not want the child, and I'm not talking about that, like just a willful choice, but postpartum, it's like you're battling these feelings and emotions that aren't really yours. And I think that that's important to say, is separating yourself from them. Even though you feel them, it is not you, and it's not permanent. It is temporary. Hallelujah. You're not going to stay like this forever. So there is hope in the dark. Praise the Lord. And that is only possible because of Jesus. There is hope in the dark, and there's grace for the journey. So that will be it that I wanted to share today. And moving forward, I want to do more of like getting in scripture, doing a devotional, and maybe some jokes, different things like that. But here at the beginning, I'm just wanting to share more with y'all about why I wanted to start talking about this and my personal story. And it would be so awesome to interview some other moms and women. So if you see this and you are interested in sharing, because that is healing and it is powerful, reach out to me, because I would love to interview you. We could, I don't know, at our church, at the coffee shop, you can come to my house, and we can do this together. So love y'all, and see you next time.